This is where we left off last time we looked at the ranked tier list for Supervive, but with the new patch out, we're gonna have to make some changes. And to start it is Oath. Oath got a big nerf. Now, this nerf does not kill him, but the impact of the changes do put him down a lot. The changes were less CC, 0.0 seconds down on his wall CC. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it impacts a lot when it means that when you can move and when you cannot move. And 0.0 second in a game like Supervive, where everything is moving super fast all the time, the 0.5 seconds manages to give out a lot of potential changes. Now, with a 20% reduction on his heal also impacts, and his shield, which is the main thing, is that his uptime is not as high as it was before. This means that when you break Oath shield, it is extremely hard for Oath to get it back up again. He needs to be out of combat, because if you're constantly attacking an Oath, he won't be able to regain his shield because he needs to hold the shield up now to regain it. This means that combat for Oath is a lot harder in prolonged fights. This means that I think a lot of long-term fights, or like prolonged fights in general, will be more happening basically in games, rather than fast-paced one-shot kill, which we probably have been seeing for a little bit. So with these changes, I think he moves all the way down to B tier. Not bad by any means, but I do think with players getting better and meta changes, we'll see more changes, not necessarily because of people or like the patches changing the hunters, but rather also how good people get at the game, so ranked in general. Well, for Seth as well, he needs to be changed. He's not a must-pick the super broken hunter by any means. I don't think he is really bad. He doesn't go down all the way for where Oath is, but Seth does move down to the lower A tier. Like, I'll probably mix this up a little bit. But the main thing, who do we want to get up in S tier now? Like, what happens with the changes? Okay, Seth has less healing, more cooldown on his R&B now. Okay, but who goes up? Well, as I mentioned before, Jewel instantly goes up, because Jewel is so reliant on Oath being bad. Now, Oath isn't bad by any means, but his shield is so hard counter to Jewel's entire kit that she's dependent on it being down. Now, with the shield uptime being a lot lower, means that Jewel gets a lot more room. She has always been strong, but she struggled generally because Oath was so prevalent in meta. So this means that Jewel instantly goes up. Now, with other S tiers, who's actually gonna be joining Jewel up there? I don't really think there is anybody else. I think Jewel is the only like factor we're going to be seeing that is really strong. But there are other changes to the list. For the S tier, I think Jewel is going to be staying here alone as an outlier compared to others. One thing that I have seen, and will be good, is that Ghost got a buff. I didn't think he really needed it, but I think he's like in a fine state overall. What I do see is that people are recognizing how to counter Jhin more. Jhin is slowly going down. He's not bad by any means, but the better people get at the game, I think the worse Jhin also becomes. I think he's going to be struggling a lot more, but other hunters are rising up. For example, Celeste. Celeste is going up. Why is Celeste going up? Is because Celeste is also in the same way a counterpoint to Oath, where the meta is either dominated by Oaths being in all comps or Celeste being in all comps. And Celeste was the meta-defining hunter before Oath became playable, because he was really shit before, like 6 months ago. But then they buffed him to a point where he became the all-holding power of control. But now, since Oath is going down because he doesn't have his kit available to the high degree that he used to before, Celeste takes over. This doesn't mean that Celeste is broken by any means. They haven't changed her. She's still in an okay state, but it means that she provides really good stuff for the team comp in general. So I will put her in bottom of A tier. Doesn't mean that she's like super much stronger, but she gets more space in the meta because of Oath being a lot weaker. Another hunter that I think also goes up because of this is Brawl. I think Brawl really struggles against Oath in general. I don't think he'll go like instantly up, but by people getting better at the game and being better at Brawl because it's a hard hunter, I do think he rises up to above Oath in like priority level. Also because of KP and Oath being really good counters to stopping what Brawl wants to do. I think with the meta rising more onto squishy DPS hunters means that characters like Brawl will have more of a room to play with it. You can debate that maybe he's a bottom A, but I think this is a fair assessment for now that he will have more space in meta to do what Brawl is really good at. Another one that I think will be going down, I think will be struggling, is Void, and I think Hudson. Now Void, the reason why I think he's down is because in the last meta he can play more oriented around the team and the structure around it. Now this will look really different when you go to the competitive list. Check out my competitive list if you're interested in that, it will come out later. But Void in pub games really struggle against the high-paced, fast-paced, long-range meta. So when things are moving a lot quicker, more prolonged and more chaotic, since he can't stand behind the structure of an Oath, I think he struggles more. And the Hudson, that also got really nerfed, that I already thought was really bad. I think people overreacted by it, but I can understand the frustration. It gets just even worse again with the nerfs. So I think this is like a fair assessment overall. You could also argue that Shiv is probably like a little bit higher. I would also say that I've seen some R&B max stuff of Helix working, probably giving a little bit more value than Jhin, but you can debate. Now the order here on the backside is probably not as important. I would say that with this meta also coming up, it's harder for KP to get value. So KP also with this stuff goes a little bit down because of the control aspect. He also in more controlled environments around Oaths and these kind of comps do a lot better. But when things become more chaotic, more unstable, I do think Kimping struggles more. I think this really sums up how things are going to be changing. I'm really curious to see what creative things we can managed to find out with this type of meta changes. I'm really excited about the patch. I'm really excited about scrims at a competitive scene. So if you're also curious about that, make sure to check out my competitive video when that comes out later this week. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.